Hello, I am Mel Barrett.
I am Rebecca Lavoie.
And welcome to Something's Off, where we are going to break down this crazy ass trial today. And I'm feeling very much like something is very off with this prosecution's case.
I don't disagree with that.
KOURI Richins. We're talking about KOURI Richins.
Yeah, I think that I think the prosecution's case is not great.
Yeah. To say the least.
Despite where my personal opinions might be about what a jury might think, like they're not really doing a great job with that.
Yeah. Right off the top, I just want to say thanks to everybody for your memberships, for your tips. And as we get going, if you can go like the video and subscribe and help us with the algorithm, that is much appreciated. If you become a member of the channel, Rebecca will send you stickers.
100%. Look, I have these. Look.
Wait, I only have this one.
Look, I have these ready to go.
Oh,
and wow. I guess, return addressed envelopes with packages of stickers. And I am filling them out with a few new people that joined who came in our spreadsheet. And I just want to say that member that got the other person, Steph's stickers, Steph from Massachusetts stickers, she does have your address, Steph, and she will be sending them to you. I was going to send you another Steph. She insisted on doing it, and she's paying for the postage, even though I said I would Venmo her. Yes, doesn't Mel's background look great? Can we?
I changed my background. There's some stuff.
I have one recommendation for your background.
Wait, you should. This is my bear head. I love bears.
And I love it. I absolutely love it. My recommendation for you would be to put like I have on my studio, I have 2 down lights like you use for like library lamps facing down, and it lights up my background. And your stuff is so beautiful. It deserves some light.
Yeah, I think I might put them up behind me on the floor.
That's what you can put them on the floor, or you can put them up top and have them, and then it also highlights the top of your head.
The problem is this is a temporary background and I have to break it down and move it every time.
You can't just leave it up because it's like blocking the side of your bed or something.
Oh yeah, it's blocking the side of my bed.
You look good though. You look so pink and fresh in front of that background.
Well, I have a little bit of bronzer on, but that's the reason I chose a lighter backdrop, because now and if I hear anybody say it looks like I just put pictures up in my bathtub, I'm gonna lose my mind.
It doesn't. I think that if someone tuned in today, they would be like, "That's a cool background."
It's okay. It needs a little bit. I need a little I need to add a couple of things to it. Like I have a little greenery up there, which I like. Anyway, yeah. So I've been putting the backdrop together. I put a bunch of this stuff together today while I was listening to the trial. There's a lot that I'm actually kind of feeling stressed out right now. I was just saying this to you before we got on, because we are in the middle of testimony that is hugely important, and I jumped off to come over here. But right now on the stand is the private investigator that the Richins family hired, and he's a tool. He's an asshole. He's such a douchebag. That's my opinion. Yeah. So anyway, that's happening right now. There was a lot of interesting evidence today, or a lot of interesting testimony today. We also had, what is that sound?
That's my rice cooker. I had to move upstairs because my studio downstairs was having a tech issue, but there's a roast chicken there, and I have a rice cooker that plays a stupid song when the rice is done. And
I thought
you just got to hear it.
I literally thought it was coming out of my head.
By the way, it's a company that should totally sponsor me, because I fucking love their rice cooker. It's the
what's the name of it?
It's the Neuro Fuzzy rice cooker. I have the restaurant sized one. It's amazing. I used to make rice for my dog's dog food because I cooked it for them, but it's also just a kick-ass rice cooker. It works really well.
I'm going to say something, and maybe I'm going to offend some people, and maybe even I'm going to offend you, but I don't understand rice cookers. I don't understand why people need them.
Well, you don't. So there's a couple of reasons. One is if you make rice very frequently. So there's a whole like washing process with rice and stuff that you need to do. Rice on the stove is shockingly easy to fuck up. Rice in a rice cooker is impossible to fuck up, especially in mine. It actually
I never fuck up rice.
Well, some people do. It has a sensor, but also it keeps it warm when it's done. So you can let it sit. That's like, I just made the rice now, but I'm not going to eat for a while. It will be perfect, even like in an hour and a half. Like I don't need to reheat it. I don't need to do anything. It'll just be perfect. That's why they use them in restaurants, because the batch of rice is always done and they can just, so. And I put scallions and garlic and salt and pepper in mine. So it's quite good. It's going to be good.
All right. Well, I guess I don't know. I'm just old school.
Set it and forget it, as Lauren Johnson says. Correct.
Liz asked if we had seen the post in the group.
I don't understand air fryers. I have one. I have not
Oh, I
found a
love my air fryer.
that I
Oh, I
can't
have.
oven or toaster oven. Not a single
No,
use.
I have one for you, and I'll tell you in just a second. But
Okay.
Liz asked if everybody saw the post in our group, which was about KOURI Richins' mom. Allegedly, her romantic partner died unexpectedly. So everybody check that out. I have not looked at it yet.
More importantly, you have to have a rice cooker if you make rice a lot, it says.
See, I don't. I make rice at least once or twice a week, and I just cook it on the stove. But anyway, that to each his own. But the air fryer, I would like to get an air fryer sponsor because I love my air fryer. French fries.
I've done that, but you can also do them amazingly well in the toaster oven, which also has an air fryer.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
It might not be the same, but they're perfectly. I mean, the air fryer, by the way, does not save a lot of time. It takes a really long time to cook something in the air fryer. Everyone's like, it's so quick. I'm like, it's not. It's not that quick. It's not like these chicken wings are done in half the time. They're not. They're done in 90% of the time. Like I understand people who have them, love them, and I don't judge them for it. There's just nothing that I make regularly enough that I'm like, oh, I should be doing this in the air fryer. Like, I don't know.
I really, the only time I ever use the air fryer is to make fries. Because I love to like cook real fries and like, deep fry like they do at McDonald's, but it's better for you. I mean, it's so much less oil if you air fry them, and they taste really good if you cook them right. And then sometimes I'll do, if I'm doing like breaded chicken or shrimp or something like that, I might do the air fryer, but I don't like how it dries it out. It gets a little bit too dry. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. What is happening? Like, how do we know this? How can we confirm this?
No, it's true. It's true. There were, I saw reports of it. I've been seeing reports.
Where did you see reports of it? I haven't found this anywhere.
Well, someone did post it on our Facebook today, but the people who have been following this case, and that's one of the things that I wanted to say. There's a couple things I wanted to clarify because I'm getting so much shit.
Oh, but, 2006. It's 2006. Jesus Christ, it's 20 years ago.
Yeah. So the people who have been following this case since 2022, 2023. So basically when KOURI published that book, I think that's when, for those of you in the audience that don't know, though I'm sure you do, KOURI Richins, within the year after Eric died, she published a children's book that she said she wrote to help her children grieve their father. And she did like a local, media tour about the book, and she sold some copies or whatever. Since that time, and since they started investigating this as a homicide, there have been all these rumors that have come out about, a lot of people think that her mother helped her. A lot of people think that she and her mother did this together, or that she got the idea from her mother. And that comes from the article that we're talking about. And in that letter that
I see some news reporting on this now. I see some news reporting. Okay.
Yeah. In the letter that KOURI wrote while she was at the retreat, she talks about how her mother and her father were both addicts. Her father was an alcoholic. Her mother was a gambling addict. Her mother gambled so much that they lost several houses. They got evictions, things like that. She mentioned that whenever, like every weekend, her mother would drag her and her brother, and they would have to stay in like a motel while her mom was gambling all day. I come from a family of alcoholics and gamblers, so I understand that life very well. But I think that, again, with this case, just like many other cases, the prosecution, I mean, we've watched this happen a lot. We watched it happen in Karen Read. We watched it happen way back in Pamela Smart. Every time I feel like there is a woman on the stand, like, because I want you to compare this to Brian Walsh. But every time there is a woman who is the defendant, it feels to me, in my opinion, that the prosecution, if they don't have concrete evidence of how a death occurred, they try to break down the woman's character.
Yeah.
We did not see that happen in the Brian Walsh case. They talked about all of his issues with the law.
They talked about money stuff in that case too.
Money stuff, not character, not like not the letters that KOURI wrote while she was at a retreat, or if she said off the cuff to somebody, it would be easier if he was dead or gone or whatever she said. Brian, and maybe it's that men don't talk as much as women do. I don't know. I don't want to overgeneralize. I know.
We talked about that today with the friend Cody. We were texting about that today.
Yeah, I don't want to be too like sexist or overgeneralized, but to me it feels like when the prosecution may not have a concrete case, they try to tear down the person's character. And I feel like I see it more often than not with women who are defendants. I don't know if that's true. It might just be my opinion. Not really sure, but that's what I see. And I've been following this case for a long time. Well, no, I haven't. I'm sorry. I take that back. When I said everybody's been following this case since 2022, 2023, I didn't start following this case until maybe a week before the trial began. And so I came at this case thinking I'm going to be getting what the jury is getting.
Yeah.
I'm going to be getting all the information the jury is getting. I didn't go back and read the articles about her mom. I listened to the 911 and I looked up the walk the dog letter. That's pretty much the most that I did. I knew peripherally that KOURI was being accused of giving her husband an overdose or overdosing her husband, and that she had written a children's book.
Yeah.
And I knew from the fact that the only thing that I knew about this case going into it were those two things. I knew that the media was already doing their job, which was to say, hey, look at how horrible this human being is. Look what she's doing. And so I know, when I think about these cases, I feel like a lot of people have been like, you only talk about how, like, what the defense does good or does well, or what you always break down the prosecution. You hate the prosecution. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a fan of prosecutors. When I go into a case, I'm looking at it from the perspective of, is the defense going to be able to defend this person and give them a fair trial? I feel like prosecutors have a tendency to do what these prosecutors are doing, which is tear down someone's character in order to convince a jury that they're a bad person. And being a bad person or being a lousy business manager does not make you a murderer. But if you play on the emotions of a jury in that way, they will start to think, well, she's got to be a murderer as well. If she stole, if she forged documents to get $250,000, or if she was $8 million in debt. I'm throwing these numbers out there. Please don't correct me. I'm not trying to give you facts right now. You were going to say something. Sorry, Rebecca.
No, nothing. I was just going to say, I do see, with women, I see a particular disdain in the media and the coverage sounding different and feeling different. And the fact that their mothers being brought up all the time or whatever. And it feels very much like, are they an angel being prosecuted wrongly, or are they Satan? Like, that's what I feel like in the media. But I do feel like this happens with men. A case that I refuse to talk about always because it just stirs people up too much is the Scott Peterson case. That case became about him having that affair. That's what the case became about.
Yes.
And it was not about evidence that he murdered his wife. It was about the fact that he was having sex with Amber Fry, and he was, sorry, that's my oven. And he was doing everything he could to keep people from knowing that he was having sex with Amber Fry, even to the point where he thought he could still keep it from Amber Fry at the press conference he was having. Like, I'm going to be able to fix this. So hold on, let me just turn off my timer. I'll be right back. This is practical issues. I'll be right back.
All right, I'm going to keep going. So basically what I've been thinking a lot about, and I saw the other night, I actually was like, oh, I feel like a little bit of relief, because I felt like everyone's giving me a really hard time about my opinions or my observations about this case. They're like, how could you believe that she, that the finances aren't enough of a motive and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, because I believe that you have to prove how somebody was murdered in order to prove that they murdered that person. And it's not just based on bad financial decisions or, other things. So I was watching Lawyer, and it was one of those nights where Peter Tragos had his dad, George, on, who is also, like a longtime federal defense attorney. And I may have that wrong. I know that he's a longtime, very well-known attorney who has worked in many federal cases. And I was listening to what George was saying about this, and I was like, oh, George is in my brain. This is exactly how I feel. And I feel like the prosecution is working overtime to, create this atmosphere of a bad person because they haven't actually proven the case. And I'm not sure they're going to prove the case. I think that, today we started getting into the police investigators and also the private investigator, but most of the trial's been spent on these sort of personal attacks instead of facts of the death. And they keep piling on the $4.5 million debt, all this stuff, but there's a lack of physical evidence in this case.
Mhm.
And there was something that I'm just talking about how I think I told you this. I watched George Tragos on Lawyer, Peter Tragos's channel the other night. And I felt like George was in my brain, even though I'm not a federal attorney and he has a long history of being an amazing attorney. But he basically was like, it's like proving someone has a gun and hates their spouse without ever proving they actually pulled the trigger. Right. Let's say Corey had a gun and Eric died of a gunshot wound, but the gun that they have doesn't have any gun residue on it, bullet residue on it.
You mean her hands don't or whatever.
Or neither do her hands, and the gun hasn't been fired in a while. Does that mean she killed him? Because I feel like that's the case that they're laying out right now.
Yeah. I'm saying, I'm not talking about what I think is right. I'm talking about what I think is true. A prosecutor, cops might make the case. She knows how to shoot a gun. He's dead of a gunshot wound. She was alone with him. She made a bunch of financial moves before he died. She's their most likely suspect. Whether or not she should be arrested and tried is one thing. So I just so you know, I agree with you on all of this. My take on this case is definitely thinking about how a juror is receiving stuff, not the fairness of what the prosecutor is putting up, but how the jury is receiving it. And I think today, the first half was bad for her again. I really do. Whatever you think that guy Cody said, he was a great fucking witness. Like, he's a dream witness as far as his earnestness and his sort of like, I think it does start to turn a little bit on the private investigator, the sort of the family being behind the investigation stuff. But whether or not, Brian Walsh was convicted without a body. He was convicted. Obviously, he did some cleanup shit or whatever. But like, people are convicted without bodies. Black people are convicted all the time when they weren't even there. But it was like, I saw a black person his height. He was fired from his job that day. He was identified in a cross-racial identification lineup. He's going to death row. It happens all the fucking time.
All the time.
There's more against her in this case than there are against people like that. They're just there. So, I don't disagree with you. I think that the cop was a terrible witness today. I watched some of it. I was like, the cop was a bad witness, like bad.
She's definitely on my team too.
With a better defense attorney, like they would have ripped that cop apart in a way that this defense did not take advantage of that opportunity enough, I don't think.
Absolutely. And like I said, I felt like she was like on my team, like the same team that Julie Nagel and I are on. And
I mean, the champion shot put team?
Yeah, the championship shot put team.
After work softball league?
And I was like, oh, she's not the greatest cop. I'm so glad that she decided to go into like canine work instead of, she's like, I like dogs.
Oh my God. Nestor, after the questioning, being like, enjoy your dog. What the fuck? I just don't think these attorneys are doing her a ton of favors. I really don't.
But you know what? I do think that for me, I'm not going to speak for anyone else. For me, a lot of these critiques, some of the critiques are spot on. Like, the defense is doing a shitty job in some cases, and they're a little bit of a mess. They, have some things wrong. But when we talk about the way that Nestor talks to a witness or what she says, sometimes I feel like it dips into the realm of, I don't like the sound of her voice.
Oh, 100%. I keep in mind, I'm reading 90% of this. I'm not watching it. I'm reading the transcript. I'm reading the YouTube thing because I'm doing other things, so it's like, I'm reading. I think she's being very unfairly treated on the internet by misogynistic people who just don't like hearing women, period, especially fat women. Like they can't handle it If it's not a beautiful, skinny girl, like they can't fucking handle it. And she does have
Or
like
someone
mother-in-law vibes.
slick like AJ,
Right.
like someone slick like Alan
Right.
Jackson, or someone handsome and kind like David
Right.
Yannetti, or someone cute and geeky like
Yes.
oh my god, what's his name? Alessi.
Alessi. Yes. That being
Or
said,
Eliza. Yeah.
the door is opened for her again and again and again, and she does
Yeah.
not walk through it.
I think they're
And
overwhelmed. I don't think that they weren't
yeah,
the one thing I did find out is they are not the original, they weren't the original attorneys on this case.
what happened to her
She
original legal team?
Her original legal team had to recuse. I'm sorry, you know what? I'm gonna freeze if I do this. Hold on. Let me go over here.
Oh, smart. You were only frozen. Oh my God, there's a picture of you and me behind you.
Yeah, right
So
there.
cute.
There's two. There's one on the bottom and one on the top.
So
You
cute.
see it?
It's my
And then
favorite decoration you have.
it's all right. I need to add a little bit more greenery to it, I think. Anyway, why her lawyer's name was Sky. Why did Sky drop Kouri? And Sky, I think, was doing a great job, honestly. In handling the media narrative beforehand, you know, with the walk the dog letter and all this stuff. Oh, it was Sky Lazaro. She was actually kind of a big deal. So in 2024, she withdrew from representing Kouri due to irreconcilable and non-waivable ethical conflict. The issue arose from a conflict of interest related to the civil cases Richins is facing from her husband's family, which created a situation where the firm could no longer ethically represent her in the criminal case.
Because they had
yeah.
a client that was somehow involved in the
Yes.
civil case. Got it.
Which sucks because Sky was doing an excellent job pre-trial. Handling the media, making sure the narrative was corrected, all that. And then I believe, I don't know this for sure. Let me make sure I fact check this before I say it, but Kouri Richins. I think the male Ramos, the male attorney, I think he's probably the strongest, but I think that Nestor is like the lead. So I don't know if that's helping her, but they're
TC
making
Nerd Mel is gonna kill you.
What?
They're saying
yeah.
You gotta give her props though, man. Let's like committing to the bit.
Sorry, I'm distracted. Yeah, so Nestor's office was assigned to she's a public defender. They're public defenders.
Got it.
The interesting thing is that sorry.
I like them more now than other public defenders because they're very bold with the judge in a way that I think public defenders are often not. I like the boldness with the judge.
She's also representing, oh geez, that's not good for him. Kathy Nestor's also representing the guy who allegedly shot Charlie Kirk.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that.
So anyway, I think that she was doing pretty well with Sky as her attorney, and then when Sky had to basically withdraw, I think that really kind of fucked her, and I think she's probably a little nervous because I don't think that Sky was on the case from 2023, 2022 to 2024, which means she had 2 years or a year at least of working on this case. And these people, I don't know how much time they've had with this case or how much money or how much, they have for experts.
Honestly, knowing that they're public defenders changes everything for me. I think they're actually doing fairly. I mean, when I say I don't think they're doing as well as they could be doing, I just think that there have been opportunities that they haven't taken. Not that, I mean, I'm very interested to see what their case is like because I think they're building foundation with these witnesses for whatever it is they're going to do. But for instance, there were just some questions today that I was like, where's the follow-up on that? Like I heard that blah, blah, blah. Who did you hear it from? When did you hear it? Like, just like stuff like that. I'm like, you have a dream witness up there for the prosecution, like that dude, Kouri, who just, in my opinion, came off as so earnest. And you don't have to, and I understand the temptation to not badger a witness like that because you don't want to make it seem like you're attacking a nice dude, but like asking him just more detailed stuff. There's a lot of details that I think could have been important later that he wasn't asked. That was my take.
Agreed. I think they leave a lot on the table. And I think that
no, not sometimes. I just want to say almost always public defenders are excellent trial lawyers. What they lack that lawyers who are, paid a lot of money don't have is they lack time and preparation because they often have a very heavy caseload. And in New Hampshire, we have a fantastic public defender system, and they're given a lot of money to hire experts, and they're not as overworked as in other states. It's considered one of the best public defender systems in the country, despite the fact that our other parts of our system completely suck. But like a lot of places, that's not the case. And when I say it changes everything, I don't mean like they're doing great for public defenders. I mean, they're doing great for the resources I know they don't have, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I mean, I've been working with Matt Zernhelt for almost a year and a half or so on Pam's case. And Matt started a public defender, and he, created a couple of like legal not-for-profits. And now he does bigger cases, but he is such a good attorney, and he's so good at trial and in hearings. And I think that comes from sort of being down. You get to see, the people who are most hard up and in need of legal help. And I think good public defenders realize that they have to help people no matter what their situation is, or they have to defend them. And I think that these women and Ramos, I think they really do sort of see this. I think they see this case and they go, there isn't evidence that she did this. Right.
Yeah.
And two of the things that really stick out to me in this case is that, and this is something that George Tragos brought up the other night. Thanks for becoming a member, Tara. Appreciate that. Tara or Tara, I'm not sure. But
hey, can I just actually pay a pause? I'm just trying to turn on some lights because it's getting really dark here all of a sudden, and I don't want to fade into the inky shadows. Hold on. Be right back.
So two of the things that are really sticking out to me, and Peter Tragos George Tragos was talking about this the other night, and it's two things that have always sort of stuck out for me. One of them is that the medical examiner listed the manner of death as undetermined, right? So if the medical examiner can't even reach that sort of low bar, it's almost impossible to get to beyond reasonable doubt if they're not calling it a homicide themselves, right? And then there's also the when Robert Crozier, the drug dealer that Carmen bought the drugs from, testified he only sold oxycodone, not fentanyl. I understand. So I had this debate with somebody on the Facebook group. I understand that the prosecution realized they were a little screwed in this moment after Robert Crozier testified, because he had recanted his previous statements. He said he only sold oxycodone, not fentanyl, which is a huge part of this case. They have to nail down that it was fentanyl. So because the prosecution was so worried about his testimony, they came back after his testimony and played for the jury his original interview with detectives. And in that interview, he was in the middle of detoxing. He was in prison. He was sort of being threatened with, more jail time. And they're like, oh, and by the way, something that you sold made a guy die. So he's sort of like pressured, agreeing with them, whatever. And he recanted his statement later. I don't think that Robert Crozier has any fealty to KOURI Richins.
Do you think, though, are they going to bring in an expert that's going to talk about how many oxycodone pills are tainted with fentanyl?
I don't know, but I do know the defense is going to bring on somebody who is a drug expert. So
right. Okay.
I don't know what to expect out of that. But
and I also never tested that oxycodone bottle that was next to his bed, and now it's missing, which was the moment today where I was just like, opportunity, huge opportunity. I would have followed up on the Woody. I would have followed up on that like a junkyard dog. Like I would not have this is when I say the missed opportunities. The cop who was there says, I don't know. I don't know why. And I just don't know where it is. What?
Yeah.
I mean, but they also admitted that they were suspicious that it was a crime when they were there. So it's not like we didn't think it was a crime until 6 months later. There were so many opportunities today where things did not go questioned.
But again, and this comes back to one of my main things about this case. One of my main things is that Eric's family, Katie and Amy specifically, have been driving this investigation from the night Eric died. Because when Woody, the detective showed up, the investigator showed up, she was met in the driveway by Amy, who said, "We think Kouri did this."
Mm-hmm.
That was her initiation into this case.
Right.
And then to me, we have so many, if you think about the forensic accountant and the private investigator today, they were originally hired by Eric Richins' sisters.
Right.
And now they are witnesses for the prosecution. The two sisters have been driving this investigation and driving this narrative since day one. And that is one of my biggest things. To me, it feels really unethical to have the family that involved in the DA's investigation and the cops' investigation. I think that they should be sharing information. Of course, the private investigator should be, sharing information. But as I was leaving court today, I was listening to the private investigator be like, "Oh yeah, I had to call the cops several times and told them they missed something."
I'm going to actually just push back on that a little bit.
Sure, go ahead.
Were it not for a private investigator and private experts hired by the family, Sandra Birchmore's death would not be being prosecuted.
You're absolutely right. However,
I don't think there's anything wrong with a family doing that. I think it's on the cops to take that work and do with it what they will. And if they're using it as a substitution for their own investigation, that's different. But I don't think that the family pushing and hiring experts and investigators is necessarily bad.
I completely agree there, and maybe I didn't say it right. What I'm meaning to say is, I think it's great to have a private investigator looking into a family member's death if you feel like the cops aren't doing what they should be doing. It's when the private investigator becomes starts doing the work for the cops. Because one of the things that Nestor did establish today with Grabler is like, you don't have the same code. You don't have to follow the same code as regular police. And you're not a police officer. Yes. You've never been a police officer.
Grabler's the investigator, right?
He's the investigator. He's never been in law enforcement.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can get away with a lot more, which can sort of dip into unethical behavior, perhaps. And if the cops are supposed to have an open mind until they start to zero in on suspects, right? The cops were told the day this happened that it was Kouri. Kouri's on their mind. So by the time we get the medical examiner, the coroner's report, and it says died of a fentanyl overdose, their immediate response is Kouri did it. But they've already been told that. This whole thing was unethical. That's all I'll say. I mean, I agree. I think that families should hire private investigators if they don't think the cops are doing what they should be doing. Hold on. I want to pull this comment up. Thanks for the super chat, Floyd ATX. Is it true that all the stuff he did with the lawyers was 2 years before he died? Yes. You're talking about Eric, I assume.
The divorce attorney. Yes. That was in 2020.
Yeah, divorce attorney, estate attorney, all that stuff was in 2020. And it was as a result of Kouri forging his name on a home equity line of credit document to get $250,000 out of their home, with which she used to basically start her house flipping business, right? Once he found out about that, and also we should bring up, because this was also established in testimony, Eric was also having an affair. I don't know if it was a full-on physical affair or just an emotional affair. I heard testimony that it was an emotional affair. I've read other reports that it was a full-on affair. Doesn't really matter. He was having an affair. Their marriage was on the rocks. Eventually, she was having an affair as well. And I think she probably was also having an affair at the same time with Robert Grossman, because she met him in South Carolina. He said he moved to Utah around when COVID kicked off, is what he said. Yeah. So right around 2020 to 2022, this marriage was in trouble. And it has been established, however, that Kouri also went to go see a divorce attorney and chose not to divorce Eric. Some of the financial stuff was, some of the estate planning stuff was a shock to her. She didn't know about it. She also wasn't trying to call and find out how much she was going to get. So anyway, The point being, we have a marriage on the rocks. I'm just going to I'm going to sort of synopsize and cliff notes this. We have a marriage on the rocks 2 years prior to this man's death. Both partners are having affairs. Neither partner is happy. Kouri, from what she says, feels trapped in a relationship where her husband has complete control of the finances, where he doesn't want her to work. And she wants to work. She's always wanted to work.
Mhm.
And so she does something nefarious, which is allegedly sign off on this HELOC in his name.
Why would you say
By the way,
nefarious? I didn't say nefarious.
because I'm saying nefarious because I mean it this time, Jennifer McCabe. One of the things that I think the defense actually established today, which I thought was pretty important, with the handwriting expert who was, oh my God, that was the most tedious testimony in the world. And also, why do we have a handwriting expert?
Handwriting
It's such
expert, it was debunked and then it was undebunked. So
it's
there are
bunk,
false, okay. There are false negatives, meaning this is not this in about 1% of expert handwriting analyses. There are false positives. This is the same as this person in like 5 to 10%. So handwriting was debunked as part of this report that came out a while back. It has since been undebunked. So just to be clear.
Yeah, and he established today.
Bite marks now, fucking bullshit.
He established on the stand today that 4% of they get it wrong 4% of the time is what he was saying. So 4 in 100 handwriting analyses get it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, it's still an opinion. It's an expert opinion, right? So we can talk about the dog bite experts from Karen Read. We can talk about the handwriting. I don't know why they spent so much time on this guy. I feel like everyone in the courtroom understands, based on the previous testimony, that Kouri Richins forged his signature on the HELOC. It's been established. What a waste of time with the handwriting expert today, because that's the only thing he testified about.
Right.
And the defense got in a good line of questioning in the cross as far as the handwriting goes today, because she established when you're married, sometimes you sign things for your spouse. I do
too. I just want to say, I don't know anything about bullet lead analysis, but I do know that bullet pattern analysis has been debunked. Like when they say that bullet came from that gun,
like, yeah, it has the lines from the gun.
Yeah, that's not a thing. I mean, it is a thing. It can still be used in some places, but yeah, that's not a thing. I mean, it's not a reliable thing.
Yeah. So, she got in, I mean, if I'm on the jury, I'm thinking, oh yeah, I signed for my spouse or my partner. I sign, like, if we go out to dinner and Lindsay decides to pay and she walks away and they bring the bill, I put her card down and I sign.
Sure. I don't even try to make it look like the right thing though. I just sign it in my handwriting.
Oh, I actually I do her name, and I tried. I mean, it doesn't match her handwriting at all, but I at least like write out, the L or whatever. So I thought that was a pretty good point on the defense. But again, going back to what I was talking about, there are two things that it's almost impossible right now, 2.5 weeks into this trial, for me to get to reasonable doubt, for me to get to beyond reasonable doubt, is the medical examiner refused to say that it was a homicide, that the manner of death was undetermined, that Robert Crozier testified that he only sold oxycodone, not fentanyl.
Well, I don't think that matters, because a drug dealer is incentivized to say they only sell oxycodone and not fentanyl, because fentanyl carries significantly higher penalties for prosecution than oxycodone. Also, many, if not most, oxycodone pills that are being sold on the street are laced with fentanyl. So he can absolutely legitimately say, I only sell oxycodone. He's probably selling fentanyl. He probably knows about the penalties. So I actually take that very much with a grain of salt.
Sure, but it's still testimony that I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think that Carmen asked him for fentanyl, and I don't think he said, I have fentanyl for you, here it is.
I agree with that.
So he says that he sold blues or M30s. Blues and M30s are oxycodone that might be laced with fentanyl. It might be laced with other things too.
It's probably laced with fentanyl.
Yeah,
they're not really they're not prescribed meds that he bought off somebody with a prescription. They're phony.
No. Although the defense did make an interesting point today about illicit street drugs, which we will get into in a moment, because this is where Cody Wright's testimony comes in. And Cody Wright is Eric's best friend and business partner, also wife to Allie Wright, who husband, sorry, who says that
he would take umbrage with that, I bet.
Oh, yes, he would, because he's a big boy.
He's a man.
Who does the right thing. He literally said that today. Eric was a big boy who knew he had to do the right thing. Okay. So Allie had testified that she was 80% sure that Kouri said to her it would be better off if Eric was gone or dead or whatever she said, but she's only 80% sure that she said that. At least that's what she told the private investigator. This private investigator today, I'm going to go back. I want to talk about his testimony tomorrow, because we're not going to get to it today.
Let's just put a pin in that then, because that's chunky, and I don't want to do a chunky thing that we can't finish. So we'll do that tomorrow.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say is he's smarmy. I would immediately, as a jury member, I'd be like, oh, this guy's a douchebag. I don't believe a word he says. But that's just my opinion.
Is his smarminess, for me personally, his smarminess is less egregious than the officer Woody's lack of ability to tell a cogent, strong story about a murder suspect. Like, I found the Woody testimony to be, I thought that was not great. And I just again, don't think the defense made enough hay out of it. I really don't. Maybe they will later, but
I mean, I think Woody is checked out. I think Woody is happy to be working with her dogs and not people. And I don't think that.
Oh, Jimmy, thank you for sending your people over. I love that.
They all got detention, is
hey,
what
by
it
the
says.
way, if you were a member and you didn't renew, please consider renewing. I think that would be really helpful for us. I forgot. We always listen to the other thing we always forget to say. Thank you very much for the $10 and hunting trip to Mexico. What's that?
Berkshire. Wait, I want to say it again. Oh shit. Berkshire BS Litchfield Cunty Liars. Thank you for the $10. I love their name. It makes me happy. I know it's county. No, they correct me. They've corrected me before, but I say Cunty because I think it's funny.
Did I ever have a license plate in my job parking lot? For many, many years, there was a car. We have almost everybody in New Hampshire, not almost everybody. A lot of people in New Hampshire have vanity plates because it's very cheap. It's like $40 to get it.
New Hampshire is so funny about
New Hampshire is so weird. There's so many vanity plates. And there was a vanity plate in my work parking lot for years, and I haven't seen it in a couple of years. So, and it said MY2CNTS, clearly meant to say my 2 cents. Did not look that way. And once you saw it, you could never unsee it. So
I love it. My 2 cunts. Berkshire BS Litchfield Cunty Liar said, I'm sorry, but can we talk about Eric going on 2 to 4 month hunting trips? That's very odd. And I don't believe that was all he was doing. I agree.
Were the hunting trips 2 to 4 months long, or did he go every 2 to 4 months?
No, they were 2 to 4 months. Sometimes, I forget who testified
to it. It Pa Ingalls? Like, what the fuck?
It might have even been Cody who testified to it, or I don't remember who testified to it, but they were like, yeah, we would go on a hunting trip for like a few weeks, and that few weeks would turn into a month, and then 2 months, and then 3 months. He was gone. They said he was gone hunting like almost 6 months out of the year.
Dude, he had a second life.
And here's the interesting thing.
I completely just made that up, by the way, but imagine if we found out he had a second life.
Nestor made another great point on Cross today when she asked Cody Wright about the hunting violation that Eric had.
Yes.
That he had to testify or be a witness against him, basically. Yes. And that's when Cody Wright was like, he's a big boy. He knew he had to do the right thing. Well, he did the right thing. He owned up to it, but it caused him to not be able to hunt in the United States.
Correct.
So he would go hunt in Mexico because you don't need to.
In Mexico, coatis? Like, what the hell was he hunting?
I don't friggin' know. But he might have been hunting red devils, because there is the storyline from Kouri's side that whenever he went to Mexico is when he would pick up street gummies, basically. That story. So like, she established that today. And I thought that was interesting. He's spending 3, 4, 6 months in Mexico a year hunting.
Maybe his Mexican family.
He's not just picking up whatever drugs he wants on the street because it's so easy to do that in Mexico. I'm just saying.
You don't think it's coatis? You think it's boars? You know what a coati is?
I don't know what a quaddy
Oh
is.
my God. A coati is the most fucked up looking animal. We saw one when we were on a vacation in Mexico once, and one of them walked by our beach chairs. And I like shook Kevin. I'm like, what is that? It looks like a dog and a monkey and a raccoon got thrown in that thing from what was that movie with Jeff Goldblum, the Fly? Looks like they
Oh
got
my
thrown in
God,
that
that
thing, The
movie is
Fly,
crazy.
and came out, walks like a dog, has a tail like a raccoon that sticks straight up, and has like a total monkey face. It is the weirdest freaking animal I've ever seen in my life. And I don't think people hunt them. They seem very gentle. It's also a very good
Um,
Wordle starting word, coati, because it has all the vowels.
oh my God, are you still playing Wordle? I didn't even know that was
No.
still around.
I play the crossword and I play the Scrabble one.
Mm. All right, so just to get some, I just want to make sure we get our facts as tight as we can because people come at me so hard for this kind of stuff. So Eric Richins' hunting habits have become a point of contention in the ongoing trial, right? So according to testimony and statements from Kouri's family, Eric did spend a significant amount of time away on hunting trips. Specifically, Kouri's brother Ronnie
Ronnie.
testified that Eric's passing for hunting. That he hasn't testified yet. That can't be right. He frequently took him away from home, sometimes for 4 to 5 months out of the year.
These dudes love to kill things.
They sure do.
Or they had second lives.
He hunted in Africa, Mexico, and Canada. This frequent absence was reportedly a source of friction in the marriage. I imagine it would be. If you got 3 little boys at home and you're running your own business and your husband's gone for 4, 5, 6 months out of the year. Yeah. So, and then Kouri had mentioned in an email to investigators, she said that a planned family vacation in January 2022 had to be canceled because Eric already had a 2-week hunting trip to Mexico scheduled that same month.
Okay, that's fucking bullshit. Let me tell you why. Because a family vacation, when you bring your kids, is not a
Yeah.
vacation. That is a trip.
Yes.
A vacation is when you don't bring your kids. When you bring your
Mm.
kids, that's a family trip. And to have your husband ditch on that is bullshit because the kids will blame mom anyway for not taking them. But
Uh-huh.
she could, like, going on a trip with kids is not fun. Like little
No.
kids, not fun. It's fun. It's fun when
No.
they like going traveling with my kids now is super fun because they're adults. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm mad now. I don't like that either. I wouldn't be cool with
Floyd, I agree with you. I feel like people have already convicted her. And this has been like, let's keep this in mind. This has been a media story as well for, I don't know,
this
3
one.
years, 4 years. Hunting tail, I bet he was.
Hunting
Oh,
some
the other Mary
squirrel.
B. I watched some of your I love you. I want to say that. Hold on. Where's Mary B?
Right here.
I've been watching your videos. Your videos crack me up. I love that you're here. I love you. Just want to tell you that. Yeah, I have lots of questions about the hunting stuff because listen, everybody that gets up on the stand is like Eric was the hardest worker. He was working all the time. He didn't, like Cody said it today, he never stayed home sick. He was always out working. He wasn't one of those people that like to take medication. He would take vitamins, or Kouri said that he would take vitamins. He was a mountain goat. He ran triathlon, whatever.
Do you think he took those like weird Alex Jones supplements to get swole?
Yes, absolutely, he did. So I'm like, but at the same time, he was such a hard worker that he would take 4 to 6 months off a year to go hunting, to leave his wife at home with 3 little boys and a business of her own to run and a house to take care of. What? I don't understand. I don't understand.
Yeah, that's weird. Okay. I agree with that. I also think I mean, that's fringy Mormon. That's not just Mormon. That's
Yeah,
like
that's fringy.
FLDS fringy.
What we're
But
referring
this
to for
one's
the
right.
people who are
This one's
listening
right.
is
It's beyond selfish. This
it is.
reminds do you ever look at I troll Reddit all the time. I'm not going to ask if you do. I'm on Reddit all the time. And I look at,
Mhm.
am I the asshole? Too hot takes. I mean, I just have a feed. Justice for Karen Read, which has turned into like
Mhm.
the weirdest subreddit. All of a sudden, it's all about Turtleboy. It's so stupid. But there are so many stories from always women. I'm sorry. It just is always women who are like, am I overreacting? My husband and I both work. I'm a nurse. I work 3 12-hour shifts a week. And so on the days that I have free, I also do all the cleaning and cooking. That has been our
Mhm.
agreement. Fine.
Fine.
He works 10 hours a day and comes home and says he just needs to have all of his time not at work to himself, plays video games. It's
Oh
always
my
video
God.
games always fucking come up in these conversations. or sits down and watches beer and because he just needs to unwind.
Watches beer. You just said he watches beer.
This idea that like exclusive, like blue collar men exclusively have the exclusivity on unwinding is something you see all the time on Reddit. It's like such a theme. It's like, and it's people are always like, what? And I'm like, what do you mean what? These women need to all get together and form their own subreddit. Like,
Mhm.
my husband unwinds. So, r unwinding husband subreddit. But yeah, he sounds like one of those. He sounds like one of those. I deserve it
Yeah.
because I'm the breadwinner.
Yes. Well,
Hunting
he's
for
the man.
months a year is I think there's something else going on in these trips, in my opinion. I don't think he
Agreed.
deserves to die as a result of that. But
No.
again,
But
as you're
here's the other
saying, we
thing.
have not definitively determined that he was murdered. So
That's the thing. But if he is bringing back drugs,
that's literally what
from
someone in the
Mexico,
comments just said, Kevin. Kevin just said, wasn't that
what?
the plot to Brokeback Mountain?
Yeah.
Someone in the comments just said that. he's having a Brokeback trip, not a,
He
not
is.
a hunting
Yeah.
trip.
Absolutely. And I think that if the defense is able to establish that he brought back any drugs from Mexico, I think that I'm gonna be pissed if they establish that and she still gets convicted. You have not established how those drugs were administered. To this, I mean,
okay, so I want to just push back at you one thing.
okay.
Stop saying how the drugs were administered, because that is not a bar they need to reach. They need to reach the bar that she had drugs and gave them to him. They don't have to say, like, they don't have to say she put 4 granules of it in his Moscow Mule and said, honey, take a sip. Like, that is not possible. Like, nobody knows. Very rarely do you know exactly how somebody killed something by the TikTok moment to moment in order for someone to be convicted. So it's not the administration. What they need is reasonable doubt. And the reasonable doubt is he was a regular drug user who had multiple ways to procure fentanyl-laced stuff, and he was likely to have ingested that on his own. They don't need to establish that she administered to them in a specific way. They don't.
Well, but the reason I keep bringing it up is because they can't establish it because of the Moscow Mule. Because so they have brought up 2 different ways that the drugs could have gotten into his system. 3 different ways, I'll say. 1, the drugs could have been in the Moscow Mules. The police never tested those drinks. They don't know what the contents were. The glasses got clean.
I'm sorry. I don't want to. Proving the drugs onto his body, they need to prove that they need to prove that she gave them to him, not that.
Yes.
So specifically,
that's what
how
I
they
mean
got
by
into
administered.
I understand that, but like what I'm saying is, they don't need to prove that she put half a pill in a thing, and it's like they have to prove that she had means, motive, and opportunity. They don't have to prove the means would be her having the drugs.
Sure.
The motive would be potentially money, potentially extramarital sex, whatever. The opportunity is she's in the house, he's in the house when he dies. So
that's too weak for me. That's too weak.
I understand that, but I'm telling you, they don't need to be able to say, so she took half of a pill and put it in his sandwich, and that's what killed him.
No.
If they don't have that evidence, they don't have to say that. But they do have to prove to the jury, not to you and me, to the jury that she had means, motive, and opportunity. Now, if you take away the means and put that on him,
yeah,
could a juror still say, sure, he had the fentanyl, but I think she gave it to him? Sure, a juror could say that. Is that fair? Yeah. No, but the juror could say that. So
yeah, the point is, and I think we are on the same page about this.
We are.
I think that the jury needs to understand, as do we all, what beyond a reasonable doubt means. And right now, the prosecution is nearing the end of their case in chief, and I do not believe that they have proven to me beyond a reasonable doubt that Kouri gave him the drugs.
That's fair. I still think the jury may not care, but I think that that's very fair.
I think you're absolutely right. I think the jury may not care, but I think that in itself is a travesty.
Do we 100% test the toxicology report? I mean, trust the toxicology report? I believe the fentanyl part. Because I think if he was taking oxycodone, he was probably taking fentanyl. Most people who think they're taking oxycodone who've purchased it illicitly are actually taking fentanyl. at some level. But like, the fact that there's no THC in his system has always been the fact that's really bothered me, allegedly.
Well, but the thing is, I think it's been established, and it was established again today by Cody, that he did take THC gummies. Cody said that. He knew
Right,
about
but the
that.
toxicology didn't have that in his system.
But that's not my point. My point is he also established that Eric took pain meds and that he took some sort of like the Red Devils from high school. He had a history of it. People may not I think that what some people are looking for is for the prosecution or for the defense to have a witness say, I saw Eric taking oxycodone. I
Sure.
saw Eric taking fentanyl. I
Sure.
saw Eric taking these gummies or smoking weed or doing Red Devil, whatever he was doing. But the issue here is the backstory of Eric, which is that he was brought up LDS. Cody is practicing LDS. So Eric was brought up Mormon. Cody is Mormon currently.
The magic question.
We're going to get to the Red Devils in just a minute.
It's disputed what they are. That actually means several things.
Hold on. Let me finish making this point. Let me make this point. Oh, wait, I lost it. Shit. Okay. So they were, Cody is currently LDS. Eric was brought up LDS. Yes. In that religion, no alcohol, no drugs. And depending on what sect you're in, sex is off the table in certain ways. Like there's so much, right? So Eric grew up keeping secrets. He grew up keeping secrets from his friends.
That is fair.
From his family, from probably his wife, because, and Cody testified to this today, he didn't want me to know about the bad things he did. So that right there, to me, if you cannot establish that Kouri handed him those drugs, whether it was in his sandwich, in his drink, in THC gummies, whatever it might have been, I have the reasonable doubt right now that Eric took the drugs on his own. Because it seems to me.
Well, if he was comfortable, I mean, clearly he has taken drugs. Well, I don't want to say clearly. What was that thing today? This is another thing they didn't follow up on. Cody said that he had heard that he took drugs in high school. From who? Right. When? Where did he hear
Friends,
that? Like
his sisters, like Kouri,
they never asked that question. That's a real question that one should have asked, because if Cody had said, "Oh, I heard it from his sister," that changes things, because that means the sister knew. If he heard it, if it was like, "Oh, that was a rumor in high school," then that means less.
Do you find that because Cody was being vague about who he heard it from, that's an issue? I mean, they should have followed up on it.
I would 100% have followed up on it, or I would have, that's a question they should have asked. That absolutely is a question they should have asked, and they did not ask that question, and I don't understand why.
I agree. Let's go ahead and get into the Red Devils. So today, I have actually video too that I'm going to probably bring up.
Why do you know so much about Mormons? Just kidding.
Well, actually,
I have so many ex-Mormon friends.
Well, and my in-laws are Mormon.
Yeah,
my in-laws are Mormon. So, and I actually have a gay friend of mine who left the Mormon church.
Same.
Yeah. So it's
Mormons, by the way, love to get right up to the Mormons. I know, not all Mormons. A lot of Mormons like to go right up to the line of what they're allowed to do.
Yes.
And then not cross it. So it's like,
let me tell you.
Did you ever watch Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, where they're like having orgies, but not technically?
Yeah. So one of my best friends in high school, she was Southern Baptist. This was when I was in Texas. The star quarterback, whose dad, I won't go into detail because I don't want to give detail about who these people are. He had a famous father in sports. He was the star quarterback for our high school football team. He was very strict LDS, they wore the suits under their clothes, all that. My friend, I won't say her name, who was Southern Baptist, met at 17 years old and fell in love with this football player. And at 17 years old, she got pregnant. And I was like, how did this happen? You guys aren't supposed to be having sex with either one of your religions. And she was like, well, we were convinced that if we were standing up, it didn't count.
That's right.
Because it would just fall out.
Sure.
And I was like, you guys are so dumb.
I always assume that Mormons must be amazing at oral sex. I've always just assumed that.
I
Or
don't
hand
think so.
jobs. Like they must be amazing at it.
No.
It's sort of like when you see like a not so great looking guy and you're like, and I'm like, that I always think like men who are not stellar in their looks are always like the best in bed. Always.
I have actually heard that from my straight lady friends.
Mm.
I have heard that. Okay, so let's get into the Red Devils. So what Cody Wright, who is, just to reiterate, Eric Richins' best friend and business partner.
So good in bed, the Joe host.
Cody Wright, his best friend and business partner, testified today that he knew that Eric took pain meds, pain pills, and that he was rumored to have done Red Devils and THC in high school. We don't know how he knows about that. He never saw Eric do it, but he heard that Eric did it. And he testified that Eric kept bad things from him because he didn't want him to know that he did these bad things because of the whole LDS thing. There was a major sidebar and then a voir dire of Cody because the defense was trying to establish, the question was, did you know Eric to do illicit street drugs? And the defense wanted to establish that Red Devils were illicit street drugs. Now, before we get into what it actually is, Rebecca, what is your opinion? Are Red Devils illicit street drugs?
Depends on which Red Devils you're talking about. But
sure.
if you purchase a drug like fake oxycodone, that's an illicit street drug. It was not prescribed to you.
Right.
I would say, now I did more research on what Red Devils are since we last talked about this before the stream. Mm-hmm. I would say that if one is calling Sudafed Red Devils, that is not illicit street drugs. That is off-label use for over-the-counter drugs.
And I want to disagree with that.
One is processing the Sudafed,
yes,
and turning it into something else that one can purchase, that is an illicit street drug. Like, because meth is made from it. We used to, meth is very often that's why you have to ask for the Sudafed now, right? Right. But like this, if you just buy Sudafed off the shelf and take that, that's not an illicit street drug if you're using it for an off-label use.
But I will say this, and I think that this is where the defense missed an opportunity here, because they were making a very big deal about the fact that Red Devils, just in general, are illicit street drugs.
But I think if you look at the age of the attorneys, like they might be talking about the Red Devils we grew up with, which are like the benzo Red Devils.
So as what I know, Red Devils to me are benzos, which are illicit street drugs. And so I think that's what I think she
or
and the
stolen
judge,
off-label drugs, like Langdon took on the
I think she and the judge were actually fighting because they both had different ideas of what Red Devils were. I think the judge is maybe younger than her, quite a bit younger than her. And so Red Devils in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s were benzos. Red Devils later on.
Both.
And Quaaludes.
Like,
and Quaaludes. They were benzos, Berkshire. They were. And Quaaludes. The thing is,
Seconal. Could it be Seconal or benzos?
Tuinol, blah, blah, blah. So, but in the 90s, early 2000s, which is when Eric was in high school and Kouri was in high school, Red Devils, there are a couple of different possibilities of what Red Devils were. They could have been like what Bite My Bits says. They could have been Xanax. But
by the way, Chad is making our point right now.
Yes.
That everyone has like a different idea. Like I had the Seconal thing in my head, which is like a relaxant. Yep. People have Xanax in their head. People have Sudafed in their head. And I think that people don't Quaaludes, benzos. I think that if there are in fact different understandings of what this is, then that is not unimportant.
Right. So Seconal, which is a secobarbital.
Yes, we know Quaalude isn't a benzo. That's not what we're saying. We're talking about the fact that the Red Devils, like even in the chat, people think they mean different things. Right. And the judge seemed to buy the Sudafed thing from what I understood, the straight Sudafed.
But the problem is that they didn't dive into, because they don't have this opportunity with this witness. That's the biggest problem. When they bring a drug expert on, they will be able to dig into this, because if they're able to bring back the Red Devils argument. Red Devils could come from Sudafed. It's the DXM or whatever it is in Sudafed that is siphoned off, however you do it. I don't know. I'm not a drug dealer and I don't make drugs, illicit drugs. And it becomes a powder or a pill, a red pill, which is what Red Devils became in like the 90s and 2000s. That is still an illicit street drug just because it came from Sudafed.
Right, but if you just take the Sudafed, it's not an illicit street drug. It's off-label use.
But you don't. But kids don't call Sudafed Red Devils.
I understand, but I mean, I think maybe we're making too much. I think this is a red herring. I honestly, speaking, pun intended, it's a little bit of a red herring because if he did drugs in high school, you could also make the case that it's nothing to do with whether or not he was using drugs in 2026. Like that's a very easy case to make. So I just don't want to spend too much time, like parsing this. The bottom line is, did or didn't he not have a history of illicit drug use? The judge wouldn't let them question on the quote illicit drug use because there didn't seem to be agreement on what is illicit and what isn't illicit. And that was very interesting.
It wasn't actually the illicit part. It was the street part. Because because Cody Wright said Sudafed, the judge was saying it wasn't a street drug and the judge was wrong. I will say that the judge was wrong. And I understood why Nestor was so frustrated. She actually interrupted him and he was like, do not speak over me. You need this for the record.
Right.
And it was a really tense moment. I want to just show the audience a little bit of how that, oh shit, where did it go? How that went for them today, because it was really interesting to me. The argument and the defense was really frustrated and upset, and I think for good reason, because the judge maybe the judge doesn't know anything about drugs. I'm not sure. Maybe because the word Sudafed came up, he automatically assumed it wasn't an illicit street drug, but he was wrong. I'm going to share just the beginning part of this argument, basically. Okay. Let's see.
Call back. Okay, very good. May we invite Mr. Wright back into the courtroom, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hold on. Okay. Play. Oh, geez.
I was reading for my monitor.
Listen, I really want to watch how this Botox could improve my face.
Here's the crazy thing. I signed into my account that doesn't have the ads.
Part that we're seeking to examine the witness, and we submit that the state has opened the door by asking the question, has anyone ever told you Eric used illicit drugs? And his answer was no. In this testimony at the preliminary, page 16 line, beginning at line 15, and were you aware that in high school Eric had an addiction to pain pills? Answer, I did know that he participated in pain pill taking for sure. Question, you did? Answer, yes. And do you know what his pill of choice was that he was addicted to back then? Answer, I believe in high school we called them Red Devils.
That's not pain.
Do you want to stop?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm not entirely sure that Mr. Wright is referring to illicit street drugs, quote unquote, there, but I also don't know the other way. Mr. Bloodworth, you'd be able to clarify that with him once it came in. I think I already ruled on a motion in limine that this issue would be admissible, correct?
No, Your Honor, it was the opposite.
Well, that's
In the motion in limine, and we're scrambling in back to this now, the motion in limine briefing to you. But in the motion in limine, Mr. Wright clarified this testimony to say his awareness was from other people.
Oh, that's right.
Not from observing Eric Richins. So whatever he knows about Eric Richins' high school drug use, if any, is
watch Nestor.
Mr. Wright also clarified.
Yeah, watch Nestor.
Well, sorry, it wasn't Mr. Wright that was clarified. Also, the state produced evidence that Red Devils, circa whatever it was, 2020-ish, was a reference to an over-the-counter cough suppressant that kids were taking in high school. So
look at her face.
I think the defense is saying that that the state opened the door is unfounded.
May I respond, Your Honor?
One moment, I've got to read my ruling.
Yes, sir.
So the ruling was that I deferred ruling on the motion
Judge Natty.
until after the parties have an opportunity to voir dire witness Cody Wright or provide
Voir
other
dire.
evidence outside the presence of the jury to determine whether there is any non-hearsay route to the admissibility of the proposed evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor. So here's what just happened. Mr. Bloodworth asked the question, has anyone ever told you that Eric used illicit drugs?
Illicit street drugs.
I objected to hearsay. The court ruled that I had opened the door and allowed him to elicit that hearsay evidence.
Yeah, in fairness, you're skipping the first step. You opened the door and crossed
I
this
just said
topic.
that. I just said that.
Right,
that
but
you,
I want to be clear.
Okay.
It's not just an allegation that you did. You did.
Okay.
Then Mr. Bloodworth went into it.
Okay, absolutely. I was trying to convey that. I'm sorry if I didn't do it correctly. I was not trying to skip any step. You ruled that I had opened the door. You allowed him to elicit what would typically be hearsay evidence because I had opened the door. Now it's it. Now this witness is sat on the stand. No one's ever told him that Eric used illicit drugs, and that is not true.
Illicit
Look at
street
Katie.
drugs. Please be precise.
So that's what these are. He's
Well,
claimed.
we don't know
Look at
one way or
Katie.
the other.
She's
Would
on
you like an
the
opportunity to
left
voir dire
shoulder
Cody
of
Wright about
Nestor.
that, consistent with the court's motion and eliminate ruling from January?
I'm happy to voir dire him if it helps the court with your ruling. It is my position that at this point, I'm entitled to impeach him for making a statement in response to the state, elicited by the state, that no one's ever told him Eric used illicit street drugs. Here I have testimony that is contrary to that. I have a right to impeach him on that. I'll voir dire him on whatever you want, but it's my motion now that I be allowed to go into this because the state has put it there. They put it out there. I have a right to impeach that he just testified falsely and inconsistently with what he said at the agreement. And it's very important, Your Honor.
I
If he,
love
in
that.
fact, said something impeachable,
Go ahead.
you have the right to impeach.
Go ahead, Rebecca.
I love that in different parts of the country they pronounce voir dire differently.
I know
that.
I don't like I don't like voir dire. I don't like that.
That's how they pronounce it there. It's fine. So this is all I saw this is all very interesting. He reminds me, by the way, of the judge. I'm sorry to go far afield, but I listened today to the Aiden Carney, Kate Peter hearing from yesterday. And he reminds me, that judge, even though he's old and like scratchy voice, the one in Massachusetts, this guy reminds me of him. He actually remembers the facts. He wants to look at a thing before he talks about it.
Yes.
He's like, I will give you a chance to do X, Y, or Z. Like he's just he's calling balls and strikes in a way that I like.
I agree. I think the judge I don't agree with all of his decisions, but I think that he is very much open to making sure that everything is preserved for the record and that he is fair and that he knows this case pretty well. But yeah, he's super controlled, like I think Christine just said, Leanne said. And yeah, I think he's great. I think he's a great judge, but I think that if she is convicted, they are going to have some strong motions for appeal. So I don't know. I disagree with his decision on this one. And I think that they are playing semantics because he
the word
used the
street
word
is
Sudafed and street.
The
He's
word
not-
street is so loaded.
Right. So, but my point is that if the judge is saying, well, the guy said Sudafed and you're saying it's an illicit street drug, and it's because he doesn't understand what a red devil is.
Well, also doesn't understand what a street, he's using a street drug. So street drug is I know you guys hate it when we do this. Street drug is actually a racist term that came up with in the 80s. That's it's supposed to evoke an image of a black kid standing on a corner selling things. That's why it's called a street drug, because people stood on the street and sold it, right? And it's sort of like it's like the whole super predator war against drugs, Black Panthers thing from the 60s, pot smoking with Nixon. Like street drug is a made up term that is supposed to evoke an emotion. It's not actually a technical term about there's no there are categories of drugs like the schedule of drugs by the government. Street is not on the schedule. It's not like Schedule A, Schedule C, and Schedule Street. Like that's not a thing. It's so yeah, that's I agree with that.
Get my drugs on Schedule Street.
There were a couple of they don't sell that way. They do sell, of course they sell that way. But like most kids in high school are buying drugs from other kids in their high schools. Like that is actually how it works. Like regular kids become plugs because they buy more drugs than their friends do, and they can sell them as an upcharge. Like that's.
I mean, that's
how most kids get their drugs.
Technically, there are street pharmacists, Cinnamon, and they are called dealers. And everybody watched Breaking Bad, right? Come on. still using Sudafed illegally and stealing a prescription is all illegal, street medicine cabinet, whatever. Yeah, and I think that the Nestor made an interesting point too when she was arguing that when Robert Crozier is selling oxycodone, just because he gets it from someone's medicine cabinet does not
He
make
doesn't.
it.
He's not getting it from someone's medicine
Listen,
cabinet.
Listen, he testified to that. He testified that he got it from some prescriptions. And a lot of people do. A lot of people do get they steal prescriptions. That's what people do.
So he's a drug seeker.
But my point is that just because Robert Crozier, let's say Robert Crozier goes into his mom's house and in the bathroom medicine cabinet, she's got some oxy and he steals it and he sells it on the street, it is an illicit street drug. The very
Technically,
definition.
sure. But there isn't, I mean,
but that's what Nestor was saying to the judge, and
Okay.
he disagreed with her. And I'm like, okay, all right, I think we can move on from this.
Thank you.
Yes, I know you're getting sick of
We've
it.
beat this red devil to death.
Yes, we have. One of the other things that came up in Cody's testimony that I found really interesting is that Eric had 2 trucks. Both of them were part of the business. One was a brown truck that was a business truck. The other one was his personal red truck, but also registered and insured by the business. Very common. What I found interesting about this argument, however, is that within days of Eric's death, the defense was able to establish that Cody and his company took back possession of the brown truck because it was an actual work truck. And then a couple weeks later, he got a phone call from like the Ford dealership saying, "Hey, your truck has been serviced and the service is complete. You can come pick it up," because KOURI was actually driving the red truck. And she had dropped it off for service at Ford. And so when they got that phone call, they went over there and they picked up the truck and they never told KOURI, which that is kind of shitty in my opinion. But the thing that this established is that before the cops were able to look through his personal vehicles, his best friend and his sisters had possession of those trucks. And I don't know if they ever searched those trucks.
Search for what?
Drugs.
Oh, you're saying KOURI may have had drugs in the truck he was driving? I'm sorry. Eric may have had drugs in the truck he was driving around.
Yes.
I thought this line of questioning was just not that important, and I thought they just spent a lot of time on it.
I thought it was another situation where the defense had made the point, listen, the investigators didn't do their job and they allowed everyone to trample all over the scene. The whole family was there the night he died. Everyone was trampling all over the scene. They didn't lock the scene down. They didn't search the house properly. Now, granted, they didn't have a warrant. They could have asked her permission, and they did ask her permission to look through the trash or whatever. But even like a week later, 2 weeks later, when they got the autopsy or the coroner's report that said he died of a massive fentanyl overdose, they should have gone to those trucks and searched them. Even though they had already been in the hands of other people, they should have searched everything. And
right.
They did
but
not
couldn't that potentially strengthen the case against KOURI if drugs were found in the red truck because she was the one driving the red truck?
Sure.
After his death?
But they didn't bother doing that.
Right. But see, that's why I understand the evidence with the investigation was shoddy. The reason I think these things are red herrings is because even if they had played out in a way that produced evidence, they could still say it was KOURI. Like, that's why I don't understand why the defense is like going for some of this stuff so hard. Like, I think it's interesting. I think it's a good illustration of the police not doing their job, but I think that's where it ends. I don't think that if they found drugs in the truck, they wouldn't blame it on her.
I don't believe that these are red herrings. I think this is the defense picking at small pieces where they can pinpoint reasonable doubt for the jury. Because what my mind went to when they established that Amy and Katie had access and had that red truck, he was basically like, it's sitting in someone's yard, it's not being used or whatever. And the brown truck went back because it was a business truck. My immediate thought was, and I think I probably would do this too, if I were Amy and Katie and I was worried about what had happened to my brother and if his wife had anything to do with it, I would have searched through his truck. And if they found drugs in his truck and they took it out because they were so focused on putting this on KOURI, That's where my brain went today when she brought up the trucks.
That's a valid point. That's a valid point if you put the sister in the frame for setting Kouri up for this, for absolutely.
Well, I think the sisters are in the frame for setting Kouri up for this, because from the night that he died, the first thing they said to an investigator was, "We think Kouri did it."
Okay.
And twice. Liz, thanks so much for the $10 super chat. Liz says illicit drugs, umbrella term, drugs sold illegally. Illicit street drugs, drugs that have been altered. That's the difference. I'm tired.
Again, it's not on the government schedule. So
no, not on the government schedule.
My drug is a schedule street.
Let's see. So the handwriting analysis, I mean, we already talked about that. I was like,
this is a great comment.
D Cool says drug lord is an inherited title. A street pharmacist goes to school for their title.
What about a drug earl?
Good one. All right, let's quickly talk about Woody, and then you have some Karen Read updates for us, do you not?
I do. We have to talk about the hearing that we didn't talk about yet, and I do just want to quickly talk about the Turtleboy hearing from yesterday, because I did listen to it and I have feelings.
Okay, I only have a couple of points about Woody. And one of the major points was at the end of the prosecution's direct examination of Detective Woody, or I guess Sergeant Woody now, Nestor, the very last question Bloodworth asked Woody was if the toxicology report came back saying that there was no THC in the gummies. Did I get that right? And the judge, Nestor convinces the judge in a sidebar to strike that. And he advises, he instructs the jury to cross that out of their notes, strike that last question. The prosecution has nothing further. Nestor takes over and sort of gives Woody a hard time. One of the things that stuck out to me that hurt Kouri in Woody's testimony was that when she said that we only searched the trash cans, but the trash cans were empty. And when they asked Kouri why the trash cans were empty, she said the housekeeper had been there earlier. And when they said, "Do you have the housekeeper's name?" she said, "I don't remember it."
Yeah, that was wild.
There are two housekeepers, I believe they established. So I don't know if it was Carmen. I don't know. But to me, if I were hearing that as the jury, I would be like, "Oh, she doesn't want the cops looking into Carmen." That was my first thought.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I think that the other thing that stuck out to me today, and then it was a 911 call. The 911 call has a couple of weird elements to it. Like,
yeah, tell me about your thoughts, because I've listened to it several times. So.
Yeah, when she says he's doing CPR, who is she talking about? And paramedics aren't there yet.
Yeah, that was a
It's a little weird. And her insistence about not being able to pull him off the bed, fine. But like, there's just a lot on the 911 call that feels like, now granted, again, I don't go by people's affect. I don't go by how I would react in the situation, because honestly, nobody knows how they would react in that situation. But, you know, why isn't, I mean, questions I would have if I were a juror, if she can't take him off the bed, why isn't she doing a CPR with him on the bed? Like, why isn't she just trying?
Well, I can answer that question.
I know he was already cold. I get that.
No,
but that's
not that's not the answer. The answer is actually that they choose not to do CPR on a soft surface like that.
I know that. No, I know that. I know that. And I know that that's why the paramedic says to put them on the floor. I get that. But it's like, I understand she kept saying he's already cold, he's already dead. But I thought, when my understanding of that the CPR was that she was saying somebody was doing it before the cops had arrived. But if that's not the case, then I'm wrong.
It was a cop that came in early before the rest of the EMTs got there.
Got it.
Yeah. So Berkshire BS Litchfield, cunty liars. Thanks for
nobody is saying this. I'm just saying that the word street drug is a loaded term that is being used semantically incorrectly in this trial, unfairly, I think.
Did you have anything else you want to talk about with Woody? We missed a good portion of Gabler's testimony, and Gabler was the private investigator hired. Yeah, but we'll talk about that tomortle.
Yeah,
I don't like him.
Woody not knowing where the pill bottle was is very concerning to me. If there's a empty bottle of oxycodone, a bottle next to his bed that says it had oxycodone in it. First of all, if I were buying illicit street drugs or buying somebody else's old ass pain pills or buying fake oxycodone that contained fentanyl, but whatever, what would I put them in if I had it around? I'd put them in a pill bottle.
Yeah.
Right. I
One
mean, I
that
get a new
expired in
prescription for my
2016.
I get a new prescription for my Adderall and I just pour it into I keep just pouring it. I don't want to have like multiple bottles with 5 pills in them, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, but the fact that that is missing is not minor. It's not minor. And that's all I
No,
want to say
and
about it.
I do want to say one other thing. We have not, it hasn't been established for me, and maybe I missed something, but Berkshire says Eric taking a drink if he was on meds that made him sick if he drank is confusing to me too. Yes. So there's been a lot of establishment.
But I thought there was no naloxone in his tox report.
Wait, hold on. Back in Greece, when he was on his he had a Lyme's disease medication, and he was supposedly, allegedly, as far as Kouri is concerned, served an alcoholic drink when he had ordered one that was non-alcoholic, and that caused him to be violently ill. I don't know if he was still on the Lyme's disease medication the night he died. If he was, he would not have had an alcoholic drink with Kouri. I agree with that. So I don't know if that's been established or not.
I'm looking at this.
TC Nerd says they agree with me that Woody looked like she could be on the shot.
By the way, do you know it's Lyme disease, not Lyme's disease?
Lyme.
I don't mean to be a dick about it. We did a whole podcast about it because it's Lyme. It's named after the town in Lyme, Connecticut. It's Lyme disease, not Lyme's disease. But it's a very common for people to say Lyme's disease. So
I only heard that from my vets. I didn't even know what it was until I had dogs. So
freaking vet appointments have gotten so expensive with all these damn shots they need now.
Yes, they have. Milo's mom says he wasn't taking Lyme disease meds prior to death, so I don't know.
Yeah.
There was no naltrexone in his system. Just says now naloxone is Narcan and was in his system.
Okay. But he was administered. He was administered naloxone from the paramedics, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right up the nose.
Mm-hmm. So we'll get to tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit. We're going to go into depth about Gabler because I'm probably going to have a lot to say about him because I really don't like the guy from the 10 minutes or so that I saw him. Do you have anything else you want to add about Woody or anything else from the trial today?
No, but I will say as a general thing, this conversation about this case has gotten more interesting to me in the last, since I watched today.
Yeah. And I can't wait to see who the defense is going to call. Honestly, I can't wait for their case in chief. I don't even care if they're a total shit show. I think it's going to be so messy and they're going to bring on so many people that we're going to get so much information out of, and I can't wait.
It's going to be fun. I mean, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So let's do some Karen Read updates. Tell me what's going on.
There was a hearing on Friday in the Karen Read civil case, the O'Keefe's versus everybody case.
Yes.
This was a hearing only and exclusively. I thought it was going to contain some other content too, but it was only and exclusively about those competing motions around Karen Read's cell phone. The O'Keefes filed an emergency restraining order motion saying that they did not want the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office to return Karen's cell phones to her, as another judge had ordered they do. Judge Krupp had ordered they do. Okay.
Right.
So, and then they included a quote on their motion that was a misrepresentation of what Karen Read said in the tape that was recorded by Turtleboy, where she actually said again, a fucking again. But they put on the motion, I'm dead. I'm fucking dead. Which, by the way, was the interpretation that many anti-Karen Read people had decided to go with when they first heard the tapes on the internet. So it's interesting. And then he decided in his so the defense, Karen Read's side, filed a counter motion saying this is fucking bullshit. He misrepresented this in the motion. And then Diller, the attorney for the O'Keefes, filed another motion saying, I'm not the only one who heard it this way. Look at all these other stand-up people who did, and included screenshots of a bunch of anti-Karen Read people talking about it. So it was wild. People. So hearing happened Friday. There's only about 5 minutes of content because it happened. There was, as we saw on our stream, 45 minutes of white noise sidebar. And then the judge sent them out to talk. I very much suspect the judge was just not interested in having a circus in his courtroom where people were throwing personal accusations at each other. Probably had heard of the tape and was probably like, there's a real problem here. If you don't want to be embarrassed and I don't want there to be a circus, you guys need to go work this out. And I need you to decide how you're going to solve it.
Right.
So they came back in. Hello, Ruby. They came back into the courtroom, and in the 5 minutes of content there was, Diller stood up. He did not apologize. I really wish the headlines would stop saying he apologized. He acknowledged to the court and to Miss Reed that he had misrepresented the statement that was on that motion. He was wrong to put it there. He did not say, I am sorry to the court. So he did not apologize. He acknowledged. That acknowledgement cost a lot of money to both parties. So we don't know. So one of the things that the Reed team had asked for was for Diller, specifically Diller, not the O'Keefes, to cover the fees associated, the expense associated with fighting this motion. People are saying that wasn't ruled on, whatever. We don't know that they didn't agree to that in that room. We don't know everything they talked about in that room. We only know that Diller agreed to go by essentially their original agreement, which was that Karen would get her, when she got her phones back, they would get everything out, redact them, take out privileged communications, whatever, and give them to the O'Keefe side, which they were going to do anyway. So no, idiots on Twitter. This is not a, quote, win for Diller. It does not better put it on the record. It doesn't do any of that stuff. People saying so, none of that's true. It's ridiculous. Do you really think Diller was playing 4-dimensional chess by putting a wrong quote? It was just
Those
so
are my
embarrassing.
favorite.
It was
Those are my
deeply
favorite.
embarrassing to him. So he was not playing 4-dimensional chess. It was not a win for him. So fast forward to today, the judge in this civil case has ordered that Karen Read's phones should be returned to her, but the prosecution, the Norfolk County DA's office, will have a chance to appeal that. So the phones will be returned to her after they finish an appeals process if they choose to appeal. Now, keep in mind, they missed all their deadlines for getting warrants. And basically, this motion that came out, this decision that came out today was really strongly worded. I really enjoyed reading it. Let me just go to it. I don't want to misquote it. It says... thank you very much to everybody who posted this immediately, including Christina Rex, who I know a lot of you give shit to, but I just
while
think
you're finding it, I just want
it.
to say thanks. I just want to say thanks to Jonah for the super chat, and thank you for telling me my decorated background looks good. And also TC Nerd, are those your dogs? And they look like cattle dogs, maybe? Let me know. I see you. I see you, TC Nerd. Okay. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Okay. So this was from Michael Doolin, the judge, and it says, although the Commonwealth has lawfully possessed Reed's cell phones pursuant to the court's original search warrant authorizing their seizure, such possession does not continue indefinitely. Indeed, in this case, where Judge Krupp has denied the Commonwealth's ability to obtain a search warrant for the contents of the phone due to the Commonwealth's unreasonable delay in seeking a warrant, and there is no pending case against Reed, there is no basis for continued possession of Reed's cell phones. So at the very end, though, he says, Reed is entitled to the return of 2 Apple phones. He said, if an officer, blah, 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 he says your seized warrant must be blah, blah, blah. And he basically says the Commonwealth may retain possessions of cell phones pending appeal. So he's basically saying if they appeal this, but they miss all their deadlines. They never got the warrant. A lot of people believe that they searched the phones anyway. I tend to agree that might be true given the other behavior we have seen. So what did you think about this acknowledgement from Diller in this case?
Well, I wish that it happened in real time, obviously. And I was happy to see it because I feel like it was a win for Karen.
For Diller, right? A win for Diller. Big win for Diller.
Yeah, it was a big win for Diller. He was playing his 4-dimensional chess, and
oh my God, people on the internet
I know
are insanely dumb, or they're insanely dumb to think we are that dumb.
Well, I think it comes again down, and I will bring this up all the time. It comes down to confirmation bias. You are willing to make any kind of circular argument you can to get yourself back to where your side believes.
Right.
And that side believes that Karen Read killed John O'Keefe by going 24 miles an hour backwards and hitting him with her car, which factually and scientifically did not happen.
Right.
But
and they have the wrong key cycle.
Right. Oh God, let's not start on the key cycle.
We're not starting there, but I do believe they have the wrong key cycle.
So I think it was great that it happened. I think that I'm very happy that the judge ordered him to do that in open court. I
The
wish
judge
that
didn't order him to do that. They agreed in their little room
You're right.
conversation. The agreement that he made with Reed's team was, I will do X. And they were like, we will agree to this, but only if you acknowledge in open court that you did this.
Right. I wish I could have seen Alan Jackson argue, because I think it would have been a fiery, spicy argue, but that's just me wanting the soap opera of this.
Yes, that's just selfish on our part.
I also wish I could have seen Paul O'Keefe's face when Diller was saying his pseudo apology. Yeah, I think Kayla's right. I think that they could have done more. I think Diller is lucky Karen's team was reasonable, because they could have clowned him more. I totally agree. Thanks for becoming a new member.
Keep in mind, they were
in
reasonable because
Community
the judge told them they had to be.
Yeah.
They were prepared to go in there like angry monkeys and rip some people's faces off. But the judge was like, no. No, there's no transcript of discussions between attorneys negotiating. Sorry. It would be wonderful if there was.
Conzilla, will we get a transcript of that? Hopefully, if Couri goes after it.
No, there's no transcript of their negotiation in a closed door room. There's no transcript of that.
Sure, there could be.
No, there was no transcription.
I know
they were negotiating as two teams in a private. There were conference rooms off of every courtroom that are designed for this purpose. That's where they were. There's no transcription of that.
Bummer. Yeah, so I think that, I wish we could have seen it play out in court. We didn't get to get that, but we did get to hear, like, what I hope it established, but I don't think it did, because I saw the immediate reaction. I had hoped in the moment that it would establish for the anti-Free Karen Read people that, like, you guys are wrong, and now your attorney had to stand up and say so.
No, we'll never establish
nope.
that. Nope.
We just doubled down, and I'm like, oh my God, these people.
Well, here's the thing that I have noticed as a pattern. Okay, I was watching Aidan Carney's stream from the other night. All right,
yeah,
and I have one particular reason for believing the veracity of a lot of his claims around a specific subject. We're talking about his cell phone extraction over anyone else's. Okay. All of these other people, they take a day or so to group their talk, to come up with their talking points and reputations. Yeah. And it's like, whatever. In the moment, he's like, no, that's when I saw some porn in a hotel room and I knew who the actor was and I wanted to find the movie later. So I looked up the actor's name and the name of the movie. Like, that's like, because if you just was the name of the movie in the search bar, it's like debauchery, like all this other shit comes up. Right. Like, that is so deeply embarrassing. And he just was like, no, that's not what that was. And it's just like, he doesn't, not even a second to think about it. Could he be a reflexive liar? If he is, he's a really fucking good reflexive liar who tells a lot of embarrassing stories about himself. And that's why I don't think that. All of these other people, they need a whole day. I'm looking for that, like this, like backbendy argument that I had with this woman who was just I'm assuming it was a woman. I'm sorry. I am being a little bit stereotypical here, but like 98% of these people are women, except for that dude in Australia and like a couple other dudes. But like this very legalese case she's trying to make of why this was good for the O'Keefes and Diller. I'm like, what? Like, you really think it's sort of like people saying, so Meredith didn't share that, somebody else did, but it's good for Meredith because that was her plan. I was like, this is not four-dimensional fucking chess, people. These are people on the internet being idiots. Like, they are not thinking, yes. And so we will talk about, I do want to mention the Emily C. Hank video, but people on the internet, man, stupid. And I know I make mistakes, but I don't willfully lie and spend a day thinking of what lie I'm going to tell that's going to make a fake legal case that nobody cares about because it's just not real. So anyway, yes.
Yeah, I think that the problem is that we are working in the realm of cognitive dissonance. And I think that for the rest of the time, the rest of these, the civil hearings, everything that is going on with the Karen Read case, I don't see until somebody is able to say, this is the person who killed John O'Keefe, and here is the
They still won't believe that.
Well, there will
If
be
it's
some that won't believe
incontrovertible
it.
evidence, that still will not. It'll be, oh, you know who found that out? You know who made that video is the person Karen Read went to high school with, smoking gun.
Right.
No, never, ever, 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 never. I'm just, it's really something. It's just like how there's never enough. There's never enough atonement. There's never enough apology. There's never enough. Like they can't define the word accountability. Like it will never happen. Like it just will never happen.
Right. And then there's also like, they just go even so far down the weird rabbit hole, like the video that you sent me today of the Spaces talk, where they were literally debating whether Turtleboy's bus stop lives are real or not.
Right.
Which
Why?
is fucking weird and
How
wild.
does that conspiracy benefit them in any?
And then Turtleboy calls in.
I love that.
And is like, I'll explain it to you. And they still don't believe him. And when he proves his point, he breaks down all the details of what he does. They're like, well, explain why the bus wasn't in the background of the video. Explain that, Turtleboy. Dude,
And when he's having audio issues, isn't it convenient you're having audio issues just when
my
I
God.
the question you couldn't answer? The video is wild. These are people they'll have rabbit names, I think, because they're making fun of something that Jess Machado does. I don't really know. But they have this conspiracy theory that he has a series of videos. He makes a video. He drops his kids off at the bus stop, and then he either walks home or gets in his car and drives home. I've watched a million of them. If they're fake, it's a really fucking stupid conceit because it's like something about watching somebody walk around. It's very dizzying. They're not fake. Yeah. They're real. But what is the benefit of saying they are fake? That's my question. It's like, how does it benefit them to come up with this conspiracy? That was so stupid. And
it's just something to talk about.
Yeah.
Incoming wee woo, thanks for the super chat. They said, I know we moved past Corey, but I have so many questions / things to say about it as a medical professional in the area near Utah and familiar with the anti-COVID and Mormon culture. Okay. Yeah, definitely hit us up. You can email somethingsoffpod@gmail.com and maybe we can talk about it a little bit more in depth and think about having you come on to talk about your experiences.
My favorite account. Okay, this is Bunny Buchanan. Diller's quote mistake allows the critical part of the audio to be undisputed. Do you have any clue what's on the phone that they took? The intent of the motion was to preserve this admissible evidence, her phones, which has now been achieved. No, it was not. It was not. And then I was like, folks think this was three-dimensional chess. They were already going to get the phone stuff. And then Bunny responds to me, giving me a new nickname, which I super appreciate. Sorry about the brightness thing I'm reading. Okay, bobblehead Becky. Phone preservation was the key because the devious one is pulling all the stops to get her phone back. So take your flex and shove it. Checkmate. She literally wrote checkmate in a tweet.
Checkmate. Yeah, it's a little bit crazy. And then, but they're also really sort of heinous too. They try to play Turtleboy's game. They try to like play his own game, but they're
just not as good at it. Like
single time, because basically what they did while he was on that Spaces is they tried to be like, oh, and why aren't you allowed to be in the same room as your daughter? Why are you not allowed to be around your daughter? These are unfounded internet allegations that are not true.
Right.
And he was like, what are you trying to say? He's like, I'm with my daughter every day.
Bobblehead Becky did not like it. And then when I said, thanks for watching the show, she's like, I don't watch your show. I'm like, oh, so you just think my head is too big for my body? Cool. But I do have a bobblehead.
You do have a bobblehead.
No, it's wild. But so if you hate Turtleboy, just please listen to what I say. You have to admire a person who is willing to go into the octagon with the people that are shitting on him and lying about him and using his stuff to build an audience. Like their entire audience is being built on the fact that they hate him. And he could very easily just spit off a bunch of like poisonous tweets, which he does also do. But he's like, no, I'm engaging this directly. Let's talk. I fucking love that. I love it.
Should we watch the Hank versus Hank video?
We can describe it. I don't want to watch it because I feel like, we should just put a link to it. But basically, Emily C made a video. Fucking play it. Emily C made a video, which is Hank's closing statement. In that case, people are giving him credit for defending and saying he said all the right things and he's actually a good guy. He's not. And Emily C made a video where she basically overlaid that with some scenes from the Karen Read case. And it's very good. It's quite good.
Okay, we're going to watch it.
Okay.
Ready? Here we go.
Is in the wrong seat. This woman is in the wrong seat. She shouldn't be sitting here. She should be sitting there. A witness, a victim. Where's the victim witness advocates? Where's the support? She's sitting here because the government put her here and put a label on her. She's a defendant. And they did it like that. Did they investigate? Did they show due diligence? Did they care?
How clear that
Their decision was over before it started. Did they actually sit back and try to think, what actually happened and why did it happen? I mentioned that to you in the opening. They're going to come and tell you what they saw after. What actually happened and why did it happen? They didn't do much. They went to the scene, they take pictures. Nobody would know because when the police and the government received information, they did nothing. They went to the hospital, he was intubated, there was an officer at the scene, didn't have a great memory. Basically, she said something about, I hit him. Okay. Don't follow up. Don't look for facts. Don't look for details. And at the scene, they tell you that they talked to neighbors. You didn't hear from one neighbor that they went to a door. Was it misogynistic?
These are your words, Trooper Proctor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead and say them.
Cunt.
Cunt.
Is that too much of a word for me to use? Is it? Think about
So
her
good.
demeanor and interaction, that stare, that distance. And think about the attitude of the investigators. You have to listen. But one of them calls her
Cunt.
that is their first instinct and impression and bias as they're speaking to her. Love or scorn has nothing to do with it. That's how they treat her. That's how they think. The detective goes, oh, you cheated on you. Scorn woman, of course, that's the case. He cheated on you. The government didn't bring anything. This case was closed that night. I had to ask how many detectives and officers, who's the lead detective? So the government is going to take two fragmented sentences and try to build a case beyond reasonable doubt. They're not even close. And they're going to take that one statement out of context and say, I hit him. I hit him. They did not even bring the witnesses in for your consideration. You don't hear from an expert on wounds. You don't hear anything about the angle and the position that she was in.
Hello, my name is Janet.
Stop it there. Incredible.
We get the idea.
It was incredible. So check that video out. I love how you showed the version of it that Mel's face and Melanie Little's face in front of it. I love that. I love the snake eating its tail nature of the internet. I fucking love it.
I mean, here's the thing. He's a really good defense attorney. He always has been. It was so strange to me that he was the prosecutor for the state, for the Commonwealth side, because he actually, he's a very good defense attorney, and it's proven it. He's proven it right there. So,
right. But he did the case to become more hireable. He wanted to get his face in the world so he'd be more hireable. That's the only reason he did it. And he knew his case sucked, and he knew he was misrepresenting shit to the jury. And I'll never forgive that. So
I hear you.
Emily C is a genius.
She is.
Well, quickly,
Yes.
there will be a Sandra Birchmore trial. Matthew Farwell's motion to dismiss the case denied. So we look forward to hearing about that trial. We're not going to be able to see it, but we will be able to hear about it. And finally, if I could just briefly mention, there is audio on YouTube on Turtleboy's channel where you can hear the latest hearing where he and Kate Peter showed up in court, pro se, by the way. They're both pro se. Representing themselves. He was trying to get the restraining order he has on her extended for a year. He ended up winning that hearing. He didn't win it in the moment. The judge said, check my site later and I'll have my ruling up. It was so interesting to listen to because, Turtleboy is like, she's just demonstrated again and again that she's going to do this again. Okay. Which is, I think that's fair. But she gets up and she clearly spends 100% of her time playing fake lawyer in the shower because the arguments she was making were to like a layman who knows nothing about this, cogent, specific, just addressing specific points, talking about the First Amendment, doing whatever. And this is a person who literally was like posting the pictures of him and saying where he was, like he's on the beach. He's here's his license plate. This is somebody who went in Jen McCabe driving around with Jen McCabe to follow him around, right? Demonstrated just like nuttiness. The judge in this hearing, in my opinion, was fucking awesome because he was equally fair to both of them. He was like, you talk. Nope, don't interrupt. You talk. Okay, now you talk. Oh, don't interrupt. You talk. And he's like, I will look at all the material you guys submitted before I make my ruling. I need to look at it. I need to feel it. And he basically was like, he explained what the conditions of getting a restraining order are. You have to fear for your physical safety, like all the elements. He explained the prongs of it. So he was able to argue the prongs. She was able to argue the prongs. And then he was just like, when they would go, oh, yeah. I mean, but the thing is, she's not dumb. This is the thing. Kate Peter Lindsay Gaetani, and I'm sorry I'm putting them in the same bucket because I know they're not buddies anymore, but like they are both. And when Lindsay Gaetani was like sort of in her constant campaign and stuff, she's a good writer. She's smart. She's quick. She's clever. Kate Peter is a solid writer, overwrites, overspeaks, but she's not stupid. She's got a great vocabulary. She thinks on her feet. She just is wrong. And you can't, and I was very glad that the judge was able to look at I think he looked at the facts as presented to them, the evidence that they both submitted, their affidavits and so forth. And he made his decision, I think, based on those, because in court, if I knew nothing about this, I'd be like, it's impossible to tell who's right and who's wrong here. But I do know about it. And I'm like, we all have seen the behavior online. So
Kate Peters also quite a bit. She's very unhinged. I mean,
yes.
She physically, I don't know if she attacked or assaulted, but she physically approached Karen Read and yelled in her face. She has no qualms whatsoever releasing these leaked phone
she talked about that.
extractions.
She had to defend that in court. Yeah, because he brought it up, and she was basically like, "I'm not doing anything that's privileged. I'm doing this. I'm only releasing things." And she's smart. She knows the language. I'm releasing things that are of public interest about a high profile case. And that's, she kept using that. This is in the public's interest. It's in the public's interest. She was a very smart. She was using journalism language to defend herself.
Yeah.
But the idea that, like, by the way, my understanding is that the disgusting nickname that exists for her actually existed when she worked for him too. I think that was her byline. I think she embraced the crusty panties thing for a while. I could be wrong, but looking back at old stuff, that's how it seems.
Gross.
But like,
by the way,
she had to
can I
say
just
the
say
words
one thing?
crusty panties in this court of law, and it was so deeply embarrassing.
So we are like 7 likes away from 100. If we hit 100, I will do a Higgy impersonation from whatever random.
I want another
comment.
Higgy motivational podcast quote. That's what I want.
Somebody said something about Higgy as a sports captain or coach or something like that, and I thought that was kind of funny too. After her old friend told that story, so gross.
Disgusting.
I think that the way that she acts, I just think that like some of the audacity that some of these people have, and their belief that they are right. I mean, I know that we believe that we're right on certain things, but we also have science and facts to back it up. And I'm like, I don't see how I could ever act the way that Kate Peter acted, especially toward Karen Read in the courthouse last week or whenever it was. Yeah, imagine if she went to college. She didn't.
We don't know. I just don't know. I don't want to like say stuff that I don't know for sure. I mean, I'd rather stick with
we hit 100. So
actual
you guys have to
facts about a person. Okay.
Put some quotes in there, and I will.
Mel Barrett, high school football coach as Brian Higgins, or high school wrestling coach, or championship high school shot put coach as Brian Higgins.
But while we're waiting for some of these quotes to come in, Rebecca, do you want to? So there's going to be court again tomorrow for KOURI Richins, but I do want to talk. There's so much, it seems like, in the Gabler testimony. I really would like to talk about it. So do you want to try to do tomorrow morning, or do you want to try?
I can't do tomorrow morning. I can only do in the evening. I can't do it. I have to do late afternoon or evening. I can't do the morning. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Well, you can bring someone else on to go over it with you if you want.
I don't want anyone else to come on to talk about it with me. Maybe I could do it
so
myself,
gay.
and then we can. I know it's so gay. And then we could talk about it later tomorrow when you're available. Stewie.
Stuart's still alive. Still alive. He says hello.
Stu. Look how cute he is.
Once again, his breath smells like the red lobster dumpster.
Okay, so let me see. Let me question mark.
I like this one on the screen right now.
Karen, I like you for me. Do you like me for you? Ruby, Jonah thinks you're hot. Let's see. Question mark. That's one of my favorite things that he says. You wrong. He's a decorated dude.
I have one.
Yeah.
Can you do Brian Higgins as Yuri Buchanan reading the text when he had to describe the emojis?
The fuck? I need to be able to read that. I can't just like come up with
Just
it.
like
Wait.
talk about the emojis that would be in a text.
Oh. But you're asking me to do Higgy as Yuri Buchanan?
You don't have to do his Yuri Buchanan accent. I just want to hear Higgy say the things Yuri had to say when he was doing. He was like, "You're hot."
I know
Smiley
what you're
face.
talking about.
Smiley face.
I know. Yo, bartender, give me a beer. Eggplant emoji. Red hot. Smiley face. Smile. Thumbs up. Karen, will you sidebar with me? Karen, will you sidebar with me? Okay, that's all I got. You wrong.
One more
wrong.
thing.
Question mark. Question mark.
Okay,
I think we're now. Ooh,
let's
you
wrap it. I
guys-
gotta go eat some chicken.
Yeah, I'm so hungry. You guys are amazing. I love you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the ethical, honest conversation and debate. We can disagree. We can have our own opinions. I appreciate that we don't like tear each other apart over it. So thank you.
Can you make a short of me talking about how Turtleboy had the deeply embarrassing thing about searching the porn, and that's how I know he's not a liar?
Yes. Yes.
Because I've
yes,
been
I
wanting
will.
to tweet that for a while, but I don't want to get attacked
Oh,
by.
I meant to tell you, because of the platform that we use, which is StreamYard, when you are saying something and you want me to make it into a clip, you can just say audibly while we're recording, clip that.
Amazing.
And StreamYard will do that for us. So anytime that
Incredible.
comes up, just be like, clip that. And
Oh,
yeah.
so it's going to clip what you just said because you said clip.
Yeah,
that.
clip that. Yeah. So it's just going to keep coming up.
It's like saying that Alexa's name. If you have an Alexa and I don't have one, but like, yeah.
I also discovered that if you've lost your phone, all you have to do is go, hey Siri.
Read this as Higgy.
Hold on. Hey Siri. Where are you?
Here I am.
That's how you find your phone. Which one?
When that I
Love
have
you, ladies. Love you, ladies. Come over for some Jameson and
You
ginger.
gotta read the emojis.
Oh, sorry. Pink hot, pink hot, pink hot, pink hot. Question mark.
So good.
You guys are wicked hot. I appreciate you.
Hot. Is there a difference between the way we pronounce
Red
heart
hot.
and hot? I don't think there is.
Red
It's
hot,
the same.
red hot, red hot.
You hot?
Question mark. Come on. He's a decorated dude.
All right.
All
I
right.
gotta go eat.
Love you
I love
all.
you guys. Thanks again, Jimmy, for sending everybody over. We super fucking
Jimmy, you're
appreciate
the
it.
best. Tell Jimmy we love him when you see him. I will text him and tell him that we love him. And also, we'll be back tomorrow. I will let you guys know when that's going to happen. It all depends on what happens with court. So, Karen,
right.
meet me in the Sally Port.
All right. Bye, Mel.